20,000 years ago, a vast tropical continent named Sundand thrived. Thick rainforest, wide rivers, and old mountain ranges covered it until the seas rose and swallowed it whole. When Sunderland slipped beneath the waves, it left behind a chain of isolated islands, ancient cultures, and untouched landscapes. Today, that world is Indonesia, the largest archipelago on Earth, shaped by fire, water, and time, with many extraordinary places still unseen. Before dawn, a mountain begins to breathe. Visitors climb Egan in darkness to witness blue flames, a rare phenomenon found in only a few places on the planet. The sulfur miners do not need light. They have walked this path for years. Some come from nearby villages, others travel across islands for a job few would choose. For them, this is not rare or remarkable. It is routine. At sunrise, they stand deep inside the crater, wrapped in toxic clouds and the hiss of burning sulfur gas. The heat bites and the air stings. With iron rods and bare hands, they chip bright yellow slabs of hardened sulfur. Each load can weigh over 70 kilos. The climb out is slow, silent, and hidden by steam. A full day's haul earns little more than the price of a meal back in town. Above them, the lake shines an eerie electric green, the world's largest pool of acid inside a crater. Not every volcano needs to roar to shape a land. Some simply stand, quiet and certain, while everything around them takes form. Mount Inari hardly erupts and never looms. It rises steep and still above the fields and forests of Flores. From the air, its ridgelines ripple like fabric. The slopes fold into one another, green, uncut, and seemingly untouched. There are no roads, no signposts, only fading paths into the trees and people who grow up under its silhouette. It is not dramatic. It is present. The first steps toward another summit begin in darkness. Climbers leave Simbaloon while the valley sleeps, moving past rice fields and quiet rooftops, chasing the first light toward a mountain that does not always welcome them. Mount Renani is not only tall, it is sacred. To the Sasak and Balan, it is the seat of spirits. Offerings are placed in silence before the climb continues. As the trail rises, the air thins and clouds drift across the ridges. At the summit, Sagara Anak, the cradle lake, glows blue beneath shifting mist. In its center, a smaller volcano still lifts and smokes. A volcano within a volcano. Even in silence, the mountain feels like it is holding something back. Quiet, but not safe. Fire finds another form. At Blittered Coop, thick gray mud bubbles up from the deep, bursting with cannon-like booms. Elsewhere, locals gather the salt it leaves behind. Others come to watch it breathe. Glengarran tells a different story, a fossilized volcano that has not erupted for tens of millions of years, now turned to stone and jungle. The paths are quiet, the cliffs hidden, and the views do not feel volcanic at all. Inside a vast caldera, the unreal becomes real. A smoking crater, a perfect green cone, and a distant volcano that erupts on schedule. Batak stands still. Simaru breathes fire every 20 minutes. Bromo at the center never stops steaming. The valley they share is called the Sea of Sand, a black desert of ash where horses cross at dawn and clouds pour over the rim. At sunrise, it feels like watching the world begin again. You can walk right up to the crater's rim. There are no fences and no warning signs, only soft ash underfoot and the steady sound of steam. For the Tangares, this caldera is holy ground. Each year they climb to the rim and offer food, flowers, and even live animals to the crater, gifts to the mountain and the spirits they believe live within it. On another island, 3 lakes sit side by side, each a different color. One glows green, another turns red, and the third deepens to black. Sometimes the colors hold for weeks. Sometimes they shift overnight. Locals say these are the lakes of souls, one for the old, one for the young, and one for those who lost their way. yet the colors follow no pattern, and no one can predict the change. This is considered one of the rarest geological wonders on Earth. At sunrise, mist drifts slowly across the crater. Even when nothing moves, the place feels uncertain. It is not the highest or the loudest, but it makes you pause. In the hills of Sumba, Wikakura drops like a silver ribbon into a still blue pool. Forest and rock encircle it, with quiet rice fields folded into the valley. Most of the island is dry and sun-baked, but here the air stays cool and the stone stays green. It is a place you discover by chance and then fall silent. The sound is gentle, the light soft, and the world briefly feels small again. Far away, a lake lies still as glass, tucked into the hills and, at first glance, untouched. Look closer, and floating platforms drift quietly across the surface, local fish farms tended by hand. People paddle between cages, checking nets. On quiet days, you hear the boats before you see them. The lake was born of a volcano, but there is no sign of fire now. Only water, hills, and mist. Few visitors come. Those who do often stay longer than planned. Another crater holds Tagawana, the lake of colors. Some days it glows green, other days yellow or turquoise. It seems to change with the sunlight and the minerals, or as locals say, with the mood of the spirits. Forest circles the water, mist rises and falls. There are no boats and no buildings, just color that shifts without warning. The next valley is guarded by stone. Sheer cliffs rise hundreds of meters above the floor, like the walls of a natural fortress. Below them, rice terraces spread like a green quilt. buffalo move through the morning mist, and children ride bikes along narrow paths between paddies. Everything feels small, quiet, and exactly in place. Har Valley seems as if it was never meant to be found, folded into the earth and hidden behind walls of rock. Waterfalls spill from the cliffs. Villagers rest in the cool shade. In the space between, life moves at its own pace. Where the forest breaks, water falls from everywhere. Tempaku means 1,000 waterfalls, and the name fits. A horseshoe of streams pours down from the forest above to feed the basin below. From the rim, it looks still, almost designed. From below, it is chaos. Mist fills the air, the ground stays wet, and the roar never stops. The trail is steep and the rocks are slick. The climb out is harder, but it is worth it. Down there, it feels like a place people were never meant to reach. On a steep hillside, rooftops form tight rows that climb into the clouds. This is not a viewpoint, it is a village. People grow vegetables on the slopes. Children walk to school along narrow roads. Motorbikes weave through the fog. Locals call it Nepal Vanjava, not because it imitates anywhere else, but because nothing in Indonesia looks quite like it. Behind it all, Mount Suming rises more than 3,000 meters into the sky. When the air is clear, the summit feels close enough to touch. When it is not, the volcano seems to vanish until you notice how life here bends around it. Another hill looks ordinary from a distance, just another green crown of forest. But at the top, the stones begin to speak. Rectangular blocks, weathered and moss-covered, stacked in precise terraces. Some say they were placed more than 10,000 years ago, long before any known civilization. Because of its shape, some call it Pyramid Mountain. Others simply call it Gong Padang and believe it may be the oldest megalithic site in Southeast Asia, perhaps even the oldest on Earth. Scientists still debate its age. Some believe subterranean chambers are carved into the hill. Others study the layout, aligned to sun and stars, following ancient astronomical patterns. hill itself is an extinct volcano, adding a geological twist to the mystery. Locals say it holds spiritual power. No one knows who built it or why. But one thing is clear, it was not built by accident. If the dating is right, it could change what we thought we knew about the ancient world. High in the mountains of Flores, far from roads and signal, a village appears that seems to defy reason. 7 tall, round houses arranged in a perfect circle, all pointing to the sky by design, not chance. No one knows exactly how long Waibo has stood here, only that the ancestors chose this place for a reason, and tradition kept it here. Above the clouds, nothing arrives easily, and nothing leaves quickly. The homes are called Barunyang, built by hand, shaped by memory, and guided by sacred rules that have endured for generations. You do not expect a swamp this high in the mountains. Bento Swamp spreads across the highlands of Sumatra, quiet, wide, and mostly unknown. Rivers wind through open grassland. Trees lean over black water. Buffalo move slowly and scarcely make a sound. There are no villages and no signs, only water, sky, and a stillness that does not change. In South Calamont, the swamp makes room for people. Homes stand on wooden stilts above the water. Bridges creak. Canoes drift between front doors. You do not walk through this village. You paddle. People grow vegetables on floating plots and children splash between platforms. Life is not built against the swamp. It is built with it. Just downriver, the water becomes a marketplace. Before sunrise, the current fills with wooden boats piled high with fruit, vegetables, herbs, and hot food. Women in conical hats paddle from boat to boat. Some trade, some sell, some simply talk. A larger craft floats at the center, carpeted, crowded, and full of color, working as a village square on water. Vendors pause and goods pass across boats like hands passing dishes around a table. There is no shouting, only the tap of paddles on wood, quiet greetings, and hand-to-hand exchange. This floating market in South Calamont has run for hundreds of years. It lasts an hour or two, then the boats drift apart, the colors fade, and the river falls still again. Not all villages are designed for convenience. Some are built for the ancestors. On the coast of Sumba, houses rise like shrines, towering thatched roofs, steep and sharp, pointing toward the spirit world. Each home is a symbol. The taller the roof, the stronger the connection to Marapu, the ancestral force that still guides daily life. Stone tombs rest beside living rooms. Rituals take place at the hearth. Even the village layout follows sacred, unwritten rules. In the highlands of Flores, Belaragi tells a related story. Houses stand in straight rows, perfectly aligned. At the center, wooden poles and miniature houses honor male and female spirits. Nothing here is random. Every beam, path, and stone carries meaning. These places were not built for change. They were built to carry memory forward. In 1883, Krakatau tore itself apart in one of the most violent eruptions ever recorded. It triggered tsunamis, sent shockwaves around the world, and was heard more than 4,800 kilometers away, possibly the loudest sound in history. The island vanished and the sea took its place, but not for long. From the ruins rose Anak Krakatau, the child of Krakatau. It smokes, hisses, and breathes, a reminder that this land is not finished. The rock is raw, the ground young, and you can still feel heat underfoot. Waves crash against black sand. Birds circle the crater. The ocean that once swallowed this island now cradles its rebirth. Some islands feel like they belong to another world. In the far reaches of Komodo National Park, the land twists into sharp ridgelines and hidden bays that seem carved for stories. This is Laban Bajo's quiet side, not the tourist harbor, but the maze of islets and inlets beyond. Brown hills rise from turquoise water, folded like sleeping dragons, ancient, quiet, and powerful. From above, the coast shatters into secret coves and emerald channels, many reachable only by boat. Locals say pirates once hid in these waters. Today, only silence remains. Farther east, the ocean shifts and the land disappears. Taka Makassar rises from the Flourish Sea, a sandbar that appears and vanishes with the tides, never exactly the same twice. Around it lies some of the richest marine life on Earth, part of the Coral Triangle, home to more than 3,000 species of fish. Boats anchor in the shallows and people walk its curve barefoot. Then the tide returns, and the sandbar slips away like a mirage. The ocean breathes in and out. Beyond Komodo's surreal coastline, the dream softens into daily life. They do not draw crowds and they do not chase them. These are working islands. Salt hangs in the air, nets dry in the sun, and life follows the tides and the reef below. Then there is Bangan, a village built where no village should be. What began as a sandbar has grown into one of the most crowded islands on Earth. Built by hand, stone by stone, the place did not grow naturally. It was willed into existence. There are no parks and no empty lots, only rooftops stitched tightly together. Narrow walkways thread between homes, and boats pass wherever streets would be. From above, it looks impossible. For the people who live here, it is proof. proof that even the sea can be shaped if you refuse to give it up. The forest of Halahara stretches farther than expected, rolling green upon green, unbroken and untamed. Volcanoes rise from its heart, their peaks wrapped in mist and quiet. This is the largest island in the Molucca chain, yet it feels hidden. There are no cities, only deep jungle, shifting clouds, and the occasional road hugging the coast. Villages appear like whispers between the trees, and above them, the volcanoes breathe slow and steady. The soil is black and alive. The canopy never stops moving. The sky watches, then falls quiet over it all. At first, the karst country looks like stone alone. Massive, sharp cliffs rising from rice fields like monuments to something long forgotten. Then a narrow river leads the way, and the journey changes. You do not walk to Ramang Ramang, you drift. Carries you through a corridor of jungle and limestone, where each bend reveals something older and calmer. There are no roads and no rush, only reflections on water and the steady rhythm of paddles in green light. When the village finally appears under mist-brushed cliffs, it feels as though it grew from the land itself. Some wonders wait quietly in the trees. Deep in the forest of Sulawa, a lagoon lies so clear that boats seem to float on air. Every stone on the bottom, every ripple of light, every leaf and shadow is visible, as if the water were not there at all. There are no waves and no current, only a stillness so complete that the whole place feels paused. Locals call it Paisap Pak, clear water. Even that barely captures it. Not all transformations come from nature. Some are painted by hand, brushstroke by brushstroke. Once a fading riverside slum, Japan was reborn in color. Houses took on every shade, blue, yellow, green, pink, pouring down the hills like a living rainbow. looks unreal. From within, it feels alive. Of color and laughter stitched together by pride. Color did not change everything here, but it changed enough. From the air, another seascape defies description. Islands like scattered paint and water like polished stone. 1,000 fragments of land float in silence. This is Raja Ampat. Not one place, but a world of its own. Remote, untouched, and almost accidental, it feels as if the ocean changed its mind halfway through making land and left everything where it fell. There are no straight lines, only coral atolls, limestone towers, and the slow shadows of passing clouds. Even the currents move carefully, weaving between reefs, as if they know this place is sacred. Scientists say these waters hold more marine life than anywhere else on Earth. There is no grand monument, only sea and stone to the horizon. A reminder that the most beautiful places are not built. They are left alone. Discover the world, explore the extraordinary. See you in the next adventure.